They're some of the most famous and mysterious monuments on the entire planet. I'm talking about the silent stone giants of Rapa Nui, or, as you probably know it, Easter Island. For centuries, they've just stood there, this incredible puzzle from an ancient culture. But what if a lot of what we think we know about them is just plain wrong? All right, let's get into it. Okay, so when I say Easter Island, what's the first image that pops into your head? It's probably this, right? These enormous stone heads staring out from these grassy hills. It's an image we all know. But that picture? It's only a tiny piece of the real story.
Because here's the thing, the biggest secret was hiding in plain sight the whole time. The moai, as they're called, are not just heads. For years, that's all most of us saw. But archaeologists, well, they suspected there was a whole lot more just beneath the surface. And when they finally started excavating, wow, they uncovered full bodies. We're talking torsos, arms, hands, the whole shebang, all buried deep in the earth. These massive figures, carved out of compressed volcanic ash, were complete statues. The discovery just completely changed the game.
And the scale of this whole operation, it's just staggering. The biggest statue they never finished, nicknamed El Gigante, would have been 72 feet tall. I mean, that's as tall as a 7-story building, carved from solid rock by a society that was basically in the Stone Age. It's just an unbelievable feat of engineering.
Which, of course, brings us to the two huge questions that have been bugging researchers for centuries. First, why did they even build them? And second, how on earth did they move these things?
Okay, so the why part is all about deep spiritual belief. The moai are basically the living faces of ancestors who became like gods. They were put on these stone platforms called ahu, and they faced inward, watching over their villages, protecting them with a kind of spiritual power they called mana. So, okay, that explains the purpose, but it does not solve the massive logistical headache. The heaviest moai they managed to get into place weighed 86 tons. How in the world do you move that across miles of rugged, hilly island with nothing but primitive tools? Well, there are two main theories that have been duking it out for years. The first is that they rolled them on logs, which might explain why the island eventually ran out of trees. But the second idea, which actually comes from Rapa Nui oral history, is that the statues walked to their spots. And get this, modern experiments have actually proven it's possible. You can get teams with ropes to kind of rock the statues back and forth and shuffle them forward. But you know, as fascinating as the how is, maybe it's not even the most important question. An undertaking this huge would need incredible organization. So the real question is, who was calling the shots? And this is where the story takes a really cool turn, because some groundbreaking new research is forcing us to completely rewrite the story of the society that built these incredible things. For a long, long time, the assumption was simple. There had to be one super powerful king who commanded this giant, unified workforce. How else could you pull it off? But a new theory, with some amazing evidence to back it up, suggests the exact opposite. It wasn't one big team. It was a bunch of smaller, competing clans, each one trying to outdo the others. The big breakthrough came from a totally modern source, drones. Researchers flew drones all over Ranararaku. That's the quarry where like 95% of the moai were carved, and they took over 11,000 photos. Then they stitched them all together to create the very first complete 3D model of the whole site. And what this model showed was pretty mind-blowing. The quarry wasn't one giant, organized factory. Nope. The analysis found at least 30 separate and distinct workshops scattered all over the place. So here's the kicker. Each little workshop was its own operation. Researchers found different carving styles, different tool sets. It was like different groups were working at the same time, but separately. It points to competition, not collaboration. And this idea fits perfectly with historical accounts of the island being divided up among rival family clans. This idea of competing clans also helps explain the next, really tragic chapter in the story of the moai, why they all fell down. So, check this out. When the first Europeans arrived in 1722, the statues were standing tall. But as time went on, resources on the island started to run out, and conflict broke out between the clans. The ultimate insult, the ultimate act of war, was to topple your rival's moai. It was a way to humiliate them and destroy that protective spiritual mana. and by the late 1800s, not a single statue was left standing.
And that is a really crucial fact that a lot of people don't realize. Every single moai that you see standing on Easter Island today has been put back up. It was a huge, expensive effort by international teams to painstakingly raise them again.
But after surviving centuries of war and neglect, the moai are now facing a new and maybe even more dangerous enemy.
Let's just take one of the most famous sites, Ahutongariki. It's got those 15 iconic moai all in a row, while them, plus ancient carvings and tombs, are all at a very high risk from coastal erosion and flooding. And this isn't just about one place. It's happening all along the island's coast.
And this threat is speeding up. Back in 1960, a huge tsunami caused massive damage. Today, rising sea levels are just constantly eating away at the coastline, literally undermining the foundations of these monuments. And the projections? They're pretty grim. By 2080, it's expected that seasonal waves will be high enough to just flood that whole famous platform.
And as lead researcher Noah Pawa puts it, this isn't just about old rocks. He says, this research reveals a critical threat to the living culture and livelihood of Rapa Nui. I mean, think about it. These sites are the backbone of their tourism industry. They're a direct line to their ancestors and their identity, and they're the whole reason the island has its UNESCO World Heritage status. To lose them wouldn't just be a blow to history, it would be a blow to the future of the Rapa Nui people.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it? The Rapa Nui people first competed to build these incredible monuments, and later they fought to topple them. Today, the challenge is completely different. The question now is, after surviving their own internal wars, can these silent giants survive ours? Can we protect this incredible legacy from
অধ্যক্ষ মহসিন আলী আঙ্গুর, সম্পাদক ও প্রকাশক মুজিবনগর খবর.com, মেহেরপুর।